Thank you very much for inviting me. I've been longing to come to Algeria for more than 50 years. Yes, I'm an old man, and I remember when I was a young boy, and my father said, "Shh, it's the news on the radio. The Algerians are beating the French." He taught me to greatly admire the Algerian people who beat the occupier without help. France needed help to beat the Germans. Then I followed your country with great inspiration. You've been leading in the world in controlling tuberculosis, for instance. But we have also followed the very sad years in the 1990s, when we were confused, when Algerians were fighting Algerians. So it's a privilege to me to try to put Algeria into the context of the world. And I will try doing that in a very straightforward way. You have seen this graph before. It's the world population. The world population was very small in medieval times, 1600, 1800. Then it started to grow with the Industrial Revolution. At the time of independence of Nigeria, there were 4 billion people in the world. And today there are 7 billion. Imagine, since the independence of your country, the world population has more than doubled. And many think it will continue like this, but it will not. And I will show you why. I will show you why. First, where do the people live? We are 7 billion people. This is the world. Where do the people live? Well, there's 1 billion in the Americas, 1 billion in Europe, 1 billion in Africa, and 1, 2, 3, 4 in Asia. This is the world. Yeah, it's quite simple. It's not that complicated. But we will indeed, until 2050, there will be 2 billion more in the world. 2 billion more. There will be 1 billion more in Africa and 1 billion more in Asia. Look, Africa will double its population. Asia will increase with only 25%. Americas and Europe will stay the same. The power shift, just by the number of people in the world, will change. And it will change enormously. So, this we don't use to count together. So let me split the American billion into North America and South, and the European into European Union and the rest. And you get what's called monde occidental in French. But it's very vague to define. I included Greece. Was that correct? I don't know. Perhaps I should include Turkey instead. The Western world is an ethnic identity. It's not a definition. It's very important to see. But look, 2050, the Western world will just be 1/9 of the world population. A very small part of the world. When I was born, it was 1/3. It's getting marginalized. And what used to be called developing countries, I suggest a new name. Instead of saying pays émergents, why don't you say le monde? That's where most people live. This is the exception. And many are still thinking, will the developing world catch up with the West? This is not the crucial issue. The crucial issue is, how will the West integrate into the world? And I will show you the demographic trends and the economic trends that proves that this is the real challenge. No? Now, if I take a graph like this, where I show the number of babies per woman born. Big families, 6 to 7 children. Small families, 2 to 3 children. And here, the length of life. You live 40 years, 60 years, or 80 years. Each bubble is a country. The size of the bubble shows the population. Big size, China, India. Small size, Sweden, my country. I used to say that Sweden is the Karolinska of the north of Europe. And in 1962, the year of independence of Algeria, there were two types of countries. This was indeed the Western world. It had small families and long life, whereas the developing world had large families and short lives. How has it changed? How much has this changed? Let us start the world. Here we go. You can see that life got longer and longer in China here. And this is Latin America. And then family planning was starting in China. They got fewer and fewer children. Also in Latin America. The Middle East, the green here, got long life. And then they also started to get small family. Look at Bangladesh. This is Iran. And they are all getting up to this corner. And you don't see the divide of the country any longer. These are mainly African countries south of the Sahara. And this is the new world. It's a completely new world. The average number of children in the world per woman is 2.4 today. The average length of life in the world is 69 to 70. There is no difference between the Western and developing world any longer when it comes to these two indicators. What do they measure? When we measure babies per woman, we measure the bedroom. What is happening in the bedroom? You shouldn't look into other people's bedroom. No. It's not nice. You have to use statistics to understand what they are doing in the bedroom. And then you can see that in almost all bedrooms in the world today, the young woman and the young man says, we shall have few children, they shall have a better life than us, we shall afford to go to the beach, they shall afford to help them to go to school. This is a completely change. What is this? This is the bathroom and the kitchen. If you have water and soap in the bathroom, you can keep the hygiene, you have food on the kitchen table. Then you live this long. Then you need advanced service to get the longer life up. But the big change has happened. And let me show you Algeria and France. We go to 62. Here we are in 62. That's Algeria. And that is France. How did I know? How could I pick them? Because you remember graphics. You don't remember numbers. You remember faces of people. You don't remember their cell phone numbers. But you remember so many faces. So look, 1962. France and Algeria was very, very different. Algeria had 7.5 children per woman. Only lived 48 years. France was healthy, had small family, and yet they were beaten in the war because they didn't have the right motivation. The Algerians had the right motivation, and justice wins in the end. Now look what has happened since. As Algeria catched up with France, here we go. Whoa! It's interesting that Algeria hit right on the track of France, just a little behind. And if I tell this, you can see that it's almost the same in the bedrooms. The bedrooms in Algeria and France are very similar today. People know how to go for the pill or go for the condom in both places. No big difference. No big difference. In life, France is still healthier than Algeria, but not so much. And what is then the big difference? What is then the big difference? If I change this one into economy, I take income per person, then you still have a difference. Can you see? Dollar per person per year, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. Algeria has yet not reached where France was at Algeria's independence. Conclusion. When it comes to human skill capability and modern thinking, Algeria has catched up. When it comes to money, you have not catched up. You are more capable than you have salary. And the French have too much salary in relation to how capable they are. That's why they are in debt. In France, the presidents have to borrow money to win the elections. They have 1 year of their gross national product which they have not paid. I had to take France quite way back, but look, if I take the whole world, you will see this is the world today. This is Africa, south of Sahara, this is India, this is China. Algeria is almost like China. Same health, same income. And here is France, which is up there today. I'll take away this so you can see the rest of the world. And if I take away the tracks here, you can see that the world has countries from Congo and Afghanistan, countries on all economic levels and health levels all the way up here. And Algeria is almost in the middle. A little on the better side of the middle. And most people of the world live here. This is 1 billion, this is 1 to 2 billion, here we have 4 to 5 billions in the middle. That's the new world. Not divided into two, most in the middle like Algeria, some poorer, some richer. This is the new pattern we can see in the world. So what is happening then with the world? Well, we have two-child families all over the world. In Mexico, Catholics, Buddhists in Vietnam, Muslims in Bangladesh, Hindus in India. The two-child family, the modern concept of parents working hard for their children to get a better life, that you see all over. The number of children in the world have stopped growing. This is quite interesting. And we know by now that it will be like this in the future. It will stop around 10 billion. We don't know exactly, but we know that the fast population growth, that will end relatively soon. And this is because the world population looks like this today. 2 billions between 0 and 15, 2 billions 15 to 30, 1 billion here 30 to 45, 1 here 45 to 60. This is you in the room, this is me up here, you can see me in there, 60 plus. What will happen is that the old will die, the others grow up, and they get 2 billion children. The next grow up, they get new children, and they go like this and this. We have a big fill-up. We are going to fill up these older generations. That's what we are going to become 3 billions. And look at Algeria. This is a graph showing the same thing for Algeria. 0 to 15, 15 to 29, 30 to 45, 45 to 60, and my group up here. This is 1962. You were only 11 million people at independence, but you got very many children per woman at that time, so the number of children was growing. Can you see? It was growing immensely, and then it stopped. Somewhere 95, 96, you stopped the number of children. Then your age group became more. And where we are now, we are more or less here. Can you see? You are almost like the world. The number of children is not increasing in Algeria. This is the big group. It's you sitting here, you are the big group. This is less people. You have very few people here. And my age group is rare in Algeria. Not because they have died, but because they were fewer when they were born. And this is what will happen. You are now half the size of France. And you will continue to grow, just as you fill up. And by about 2045, 42, only 20 years from now, you will be 45 million people. You will add 15 million people in the next 40 years. No, sorry. In the next 30 years. In 30 years, you will increase 50%, not by getting more children, just by growing up and replacing those. So it's a big market, number one. It will be a very powerful country if you are well organized and if you can make use of the good human skill you have. So this is where we can see Algeria today. This is if you look at the individual income distribution in the world, $1 a day, $10 a day, $100 a day. The difference from the poorest people to the richest people in the world is more than 100-fold. And then I'm taking away Bill Gates and those which are over here somewhere. I don't include that. No one can be further here than you die. You can't be poorer than this. And this is what poverty is about. This is hard work for women, just to carry home wood and water. And there are also those who are rich in the middle. Yi Gang from SAFE, State Administrator of Foreign Exchange of China, he has $3 trillion. Milliard. 3 miljarder dollars. Just because China was selling more than they were buying. And he doesn't know what to do with it. This is how China improved. Improved like this. And here they bought the Volvo company from Sweden. So we have very much respect for the Chinese today, because they bought our best brand. And let me show you a race here. Or I will show you some more improvements, what you have seen in Algeria, how your country has progressed. Here is education, mean years in school for men, mean years in school for women. Algeria, back in 1970, was there already then relatively good gender equity for this low level, and France was there. As Algeria catched up, in France they've gone 7 years in school, 7 years in school. This is what has happened. Here comes Algeria, studying hard. You see, you are where France was 1970. Very steady improvement in human capability. In human capability. And today we have countries all the way. I mean, China is ahead of it. China has more education per person than Algeria has. And if I go here, I'll show you another very interesting thing for me coming from public health. This is the number of people killed in traffic per 100,000. And this is the income down here. Sweden is very, very low. I had difficulties finding the safety belts in the car yesterday in Annaba. You had hidden them in the back of the car. We invented the safety belt. Use it. We only lose about 4. We do lose 4 people per 100,000. You lose 18. That's 4 times higher death rate. But then the Ethiopia is 29. This is another way where you can see that countries are falling down like this. But they have most cars. We have much more cars than you have, but we kill much less. But you're on your way there. And it's relatively, Thailand is worse than you are, but Colombia is a little better. But they shoot each other instead in Colombia. This is quite interesting. I think this is the most interesting. We're trying to understand Algeria. Income, poor countries, middle and rich. 1962. This is age at first marriage for women. How old were women when they married in Algeria? They were only 19. Someone told me yesterday grandma was 12 when she married. And this is France was up there 23. Look what Algeria has done. What are you doing? Are you only studying? There is no country in the world where women marry so late at this income level. It's absolutely unique. You are world champion in late marriage in middleweight economy. And it's not by random, because your neighbor behaves the same. Tunisia is the same. You're together with Tunisia. Explain for me afterwards why. The whole world is curious. Now, let me finish with this one, which is a race. And now I'm just talking money. This is 1800, 1900, 2000 into the future. Here is dollar per person. $1,000, $10,000. These are the countries where they were situated there. UK, United Kingdom richest, then United States, and then came France. France was there. Sweden was very poor. The Kabylians up north were like the Japanese, and China was there, and Algeria was somewhere there, and then was the others down here. Look what has happened. In the first century here, United States catch up with Britain, and France is somewhere in between. Sweden is not so successful. This is Sweden, this is France, United States, United Kingdom. This is Algeria, but it's an Algeria with the occupiers' economy. It's a very unequal country. So the average income got high. And then it went on like this. And you can see how it is Japan here, which is catching up after the Second World War. They are coming there. And this is Brazil, and this is Algeria, and this is South Korea. And it's South Korea that is succeeding to catch up. Whereas Brazil had bad years, Algeria had even worse years, and this is Turkey, which is coming there. China is coming behind, and now we see this. Can you see how Algeria lost more than a decade here, but now it's on the track, but not going as fast as China. China and India will hit US and France up there within about 30 to 40 years. And you can see how really the world is coming together. Even Tanzania is now growing faster than what Algeria is. You can make it faster. You have to decide to catch up with France. Look, some people are understanding that the world is changing. It's high-income countries, it's middle, and it's low-income countries. And I will show you a person who really understood the new world, the 15th of November 2008. It was George W. Bush. He had a headache that time. It was called Lehman Brothers headache. You remember that bank? It caused him problems. He needed money. So he went for he didn't have any money. Bush was without tax money. He had borrowed money from the Chinese. So when you don't have money, you need money desperately, you ask your friends. So you asked G7, the French Minister of Finance, the Japanese, they all told him, oh, we have no money. We are broken. It was a new situation in the world. The rich didn't have money. They had borrowed from those who were less rich. So Bush needed new friends. That was what was clever of him. So he invited the G20 group. Can you see here? The G20. He was very enthusiastic. He said, put up all the continents, but they didn't know how many continents there were, so they put up too many. And then he's standing here, he's not very happy. And if we zoom in, we can see who stands next to him. It's a socialist from Brazil. It's a communist from China, and it's a royal Muslim from Saudi Arabia. But Bush is happy because they lend him money. Every Brazilian lent $1,000 to Bush. And can you see he's leaning like this? So he liked Budapest because he's not a dictator. Those are dictators, you know. And can you see Sarkozy here? He has a problem. Sarkozy is standing here and he said, why is France standing on the wrong side of the Muslim together with the Buddhist and the African here? He's very confused. This is the new world. You can understand the new world. Go to Gapfinder's webpage. Mettez à jour votre vision du monde et c'est Bush l'a fait, vous pouvez la faire.